So what is on tap for this episode of Kuz's Corner? We're talking conference expansion, we're talking Big 12, and we're talking maybe an expansion idea that hardly no one is talking about. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let me serve you up this shot of top shelf college sports content. Let's go. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Kuz, and welcome in to this edition of Kuz's Corner. So pull up that chair, and if you haven't yet, please hit the red subscribe button. Please give me the thumbs up on this video if you like it. Please share it out with your friends. And last but not least, drop a comment below and let me know what you think about today's topic, which is the conference expansion idea that not many are talking about that might just be a good option or at least a plan B for the Big 12. What is that, you ask? What if the Big 12's plan all along is to expand and build its conference with basketball instead of football? Think about that for a second. Now, I know it doesn't sound exciting because most of us on here are really strong college football fans. I know it doesn't sound sexy, but look at it like this. And I got this idea from an article in Heartland College Sports, which I'll leave a link to. But the Big 12 is already known as the best basketball conference in America, college basketball conference in America, according to Ken Palm, and I think most fans would agree with that. They have the last two national champions in Kansas and Baylor. They get the majority of their conference in the NCAA tournament almost every year. I mean, they've just been good. Almost every team in the conference, top to bottom, is competitive. Then you're bringing in Houston, who's one of the top basketball programs in the country. You're bringing in Cincinnati, who is historically a good basketball program. You're bringing in BYU and UCF, which have solid basketball programs too. And then there's the conversation about possibly adding the two Arizona schools, Colorado and Utah. We all know Arizona, also one of the top basketball programs in the country. So this idea that I'm talking about would not preclude you from adding them as well. So go ahead and add those four schools if you can. Bring them in. You still have a pretty decent football conference too, with the current brands that are there, plus the four new ones. You have a 16-team football conference if you get those four schools. You have a 16-team basketball conference. You have teams like Kansas, Baylor, Texas Tech, Houston, Arizona, West Virginia. I mean, think about it. Some really good schools, Cincinnati. But then what if they go out and get some more schools? And think about it. Like, what if they go out and get Gonzaga? There's already been rumors that Gonzaga was looking to go to the Big East last year. Those rumors were squashed by most of the media. But what if Gonzaga is looking for a better home? Gonzaga is one of the top basketball programs in the country, but they're kind of stuck out there in the West in a weak West Coast conference where the basketball competition is not that great. So when they go into the NCAA tournament, they're playing against, in my opinion, what are better teams, and they usually get beat. They might make it into the conference a few rounds. They've even made it to the finals a couple of times. But they just don't seem to be able to get over that hump and win that national title, even though they might be arguably the most consistently winning program in the country. So what if they go into a conference like the Big 12 where they can be more tested and more tournament ready? And not only that, it would boost their revenue. They might not be able to get the full amount of the revenue, TV revenue, because they would only be a basketball-only member and wouldn't have football, but they would still likely make a lot more than what they're making right now in the West Coast Conference. So even if they could make $20 million a year or 30 or whatever, it would be a lot more than what they're making in the West Coast Conference. And then what if they go out and add, a Wichita State to play basketball in the conference, which is another Midwest school? What if they bring in some of Gonzaga's rivals like St. Mary's or St. Louis or San Francisco, some of these schools that are known for their basketball, and still give Gonzaga some travel partners or some regional games? And what if, think about this now, that this is something I thought about. It wasn't in the article, but what if? What if they go grab UConn? I know UConn's up in the Northeast, and I know that Gonzaga to UConn's the opposite ends of the country, but heck, the Big 12 or the Big 10's doing it. Why can't the Big 12 do it? And if you add UConn, we all know UConn's basketball history, a very strong basketball program. We all know they're independent in football right now. And I read an article where current coach Jim Mora said one of his goals is to get them in a Power 5 conference. I think they're specifically targeting the ACC, but heck, why not? We don't know that the ACC is going to be able to take them. So what if the Big 12 says, okay, we want to strengthen our basketball, we want to keep our football where it's at, make it strong where we can, but we want to really, really be strong in basketball. So we add Gonzaga. We add potentially a Wichita State. We add the Arizona schools. Then we go out and we grab UConn. You get the Northeast market. You also graft them in football too, even though they've not been good the last several years. If they start making Big 12 money again, they might could get back to where they were. Their basketball presence, their basketball fan base, their strong history in basketball could bode really well in a conference like the Big 12. And then you get to Big 12, that coast-to-coast football market. You get in a new market in the Northeast in UConn that has a pretty strong, loyal fan base. And you have what's even a stronger basketball conference. You can bring in a new football member that, like I said, might struggle at first, but it gets you into a new market, and it gives West Virginia and Cincinnati another team that's closer to home where they don't have to travel as far. UConn would be much closer to West Virginia, Cincinnati than Oregon and Washington. And I think if they could get Oregon and Washington, it would be a home run, at least in my opinion. But that might be off the table. So go grab UConn and strengthen your basketball, and bring them in as football. Hey, we got Kansas. Why not get UConn? What's it hurt, in my opinion? Especially if you can strengthen your revenue on the basketball side. And think about this, folks. They hired this new commissioner in Brett Yormark. What's his background? Obviously, he had the big deal in NASCAR, but he also spent a lot of his career as owner of or COO of the Brooklyn Nets and the Barclays Center, a basketball arena, a professional basketball team. His background is in basketball. And who was next in line to get the job? An executive from the Orlando Magic. So maybe, just maybe, that's the Big 12's plan all along. Hey, let's build on our strength, and that's basketball. Let's become the premier basketball conference in America that, oh, by the way, happens to play some pretty decent football too. I think, look, like I said, it's not sexy, it's not great, it's not as sexy as going out and getting an Oregon or ripping apart the ACC. But by doing this, you essentially keep at least a Power 4 conferences in football, if the Pac-12 would happen to fall apart. And heck, even if you don't get the Arizona schools, go get Gonzaga anyway. Go get Gonzaga and go get UConn. I don't know if Gonzaga would be real thrilled about being in the Big 12 and being kind of off on an island by themselves. But heck, if it's a big enough financial win for them, maybe they take it. Who knows? It's worth a thought, worth a shot, in my opinion, if they're not able to strengthen in the football side that much. Strengthen yourself in basketball without hurting yourself on the football side. Well, let me know in the comment section, Couz's Corner fam, what do you think about this idea about Brett Yormark maybe going out and nabbing some schools like a Gonzaga or maybe a Wichita State or maybe even a UConn, bringing them into the fold, strengthening the basketball, keeping the football where it is, and building the conference that way, or strengthening the conference that way would be a better way to put it. I want to hear your thoughts. Also, don't forget about my merch. I'm having a sale right now. If you're watching this video between July the 9th and July the 14th, 2022, I've got a 15% off sale in my merch store right now. Link's above my head. It's also at the top of my description box. There's also a link there to Fanatics. There's also a link to Amazon where you can do your online shopping. There's also a link to BetUS. Use promo code JOIN125 at BetUS. Get a 125% bonus on your first online bet. Any sports betting you want to do, it's there. Also, any online gambling you want to do. If you just want to go play some online blackjack, use that link, get you in, and I'll make a little commission off of it. You'll be helping my channel out. You can hit the join button below to become a Couz's Corner channel member. Take advantage of the perks I offer. Last but not least, if you want to support me 100% free, you can do so in 4 ways. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. The big 4 that YouTubers always ask for. It all helps out that YouTube algorithm, gets our channel promoted. With all that being said, I appreciate you tuning in to this video, and until the next one, Q Country Roads.